Thank you for coming back after lunch. It's never easy after a long morning. So, as you all know, and thank you all for those on live stream as well. We've had a great response, so we really appreciate everyone tuning in. So, I'm Priya Oberoi. I'm the general partner of Goddess Gaia Ventures, and we are building Europe's first women-centered healthcare fund. So, putting this into context, the Secretary of State, Nadine Dorries, declared in the House of Commons in March 2021 that for generations, women have lived in a healthcare system that is designed by men for men. This was swiftly followed by a House of Lords study that concluded that the UK had the largest female health gap in the G20 and the 12th largest female health gap globally. Caroline Perez, in her book Invisible Women, demonstrated statistically how healthcare systems systematically discriminated against women, leaving them chronically misunderstood, mistreated, and misdiagnosed. To us, as educated and rational women, we find this state of affairs unacceptable. And for that reason, we decided to build GGV. So what is our mission statement? Well, firstly, it's to disrupt the $12 trillion healthcare market, of which 1.1 trillion Femtech market is completely underserved, under-researched, and underfunded, despite women accounting for 50% of the global population, making 80% of all healthcare buying decisions, and with a $43 trillion annual consumer spend. Secondly, we'll be investing into female-centered healthcare, tech, products, solutions, services, and devices that improve women, female, and girls' health and wellness across the spectrum of women's health. And that includes consumer health, new healthcare delivery models, medical devices, digital health, e-pharmacy, and retail therapeutics. This includes innovations that solely affect women, like the menopause, that disproportionately affect women, like autoimmune diseases, and that differently affect women, like heart disease and cancers. We want to address head-on the disparities and inequalities that exist in women's healthcare. Women have 5 times more side effects from drugs than men. Black women are 4 times and Asian women 2 times more likely to die in pregnancy and childbirth than white women. We want to deep dive into the untapped opportunities that exist. For example, the NHS has a 9.7 billion projected spend for obesity-related diseases by 2050. Many of these lifestyle diseases are preventable by a change in diet, hormones, good gut health, well-being, and good mental health practices. There are clearly missed opportunities to save costs and create new markets and solutions that target and appeal to women as the main customer. So why does it make sense to build GGV? Well, the current healthcare system is broken. More people are leaving the healthcare system and tech innovations are needed to plug the gap. Secondly, the tailwind of digital change isn't going to reverse, but only 3% of all digital spend went to women's health last year. There is a lack of historical investment in women's health, mainly due to taboos and general uncomfortability around sexual wellness, female incontinence, and women's menstrual cycles. There are a lack of female allocators. Male allocators do not intuitively understand the problems founders are solving, or there's a lack of empathy. Fifthly, one cannot place healthcare into a standard VC model of SaaS, of fintech, of big data. Healthcare needs longer runways between VC rounds. To iterate MVPs and pilots, one cannot just go for the usual 18-month cycle, as if one gets it wrong, someone will die. And often there is a need for regulatory approvals that take its own time. Currently, only 4% of R&D budgets go to women's health. Only 20% of medical research includes women, and only 2.3% of venture funding goes to women-led businesses. Essentially, founders are piecing together the science and collecting the data as they create the product. The post-pandemic zeitgeist has created a world where our health is at the forefront of our minds, yet women's health currently relies on generalist healthcare and wellness funds to invest in female-specific solutions. Traditional VCs tend to focus on healthcare as their portfolio outlier companies that often focuses more on tech and solutions rather than on the problem. Hence, there is a real need to build a specialized fund to tackle investing in this space head on, and currently there are only 6 Femtech funds that exist globally. And now is very much the time to build such a fund. The pandemic has had a disproportionate negative impact on women. During the pandemic, more women than men have been made redundant. More women have taken on a disproportionate amount of the childcare and homeschooling responsibilities and have borne the brunt of economic fallout from the pandemic. But despite this, more female-led solutions are being created for women by women. And with more women in STEM, there is a better quality of investable solutions coming through funnels and pipelines. Secondly, women are increasingly taking control of their and their families' health, questioning the status quo and looking for new, affordable, accessible, and holistic solutions across all age groups. In addition, movements like Black Lives Matter and Me Too have greatly empowered women to find their own authentic voices, and celebrations such as IWD and the like actively encourage women to take their seat at that proverbial table. So why did I decide to build GGV? Well, in 2009, in my 30s, I was diagnosed with cancer. It had come about because I had ignored my lichen planus, which is an autoimmune disease, which meant that my white blood cells were attacking my skin and turning it purple in places. I saw 38 doctors and wasted a year of my life trying to figure out what I had and its cause. My hair fell out, I had lots of surgeries, and I felt quite alone. If there were communities out there, I certainly didn't know of them. And all I remember from that day was the doctor saying, well, we caught it early. An early diagnosis is a good prognosis. But actually, I just happened to have a routine smear test because I had lived in Switzerland before, and annual checkups were the norm. When my husband and I tried to get pregnant in 2015, juggling oncologists, fertility doctors, the NHS, IVF, obstetricians, endocrinologists was a full-time job. I had 5 lever arch files full of test results, hospital appointments, pieces of paper trying to figure out what was happening to our son who was growing inside of me. Our son was born healthy in March 2017. So you see, for me, this is very much a labor of love. When COVID hit, it was for me to take time off the hamster wheel and figure out what I wanted to do with my life and my skill set. I'm not the only woman who has suffered like this, and I will certainly, unfortunately, not be the only woman to suffer like this. But surely we can work collectively to develop and encourage more innovation so that women don't have to unnecessarily suffer. For all the women suffering out there, we want to grow companies that ease your journey, and we want to help those companies become titans and unicorns in their own right. So how does Scotland fit into this equation? Well, you have the lovely Marie Todds, who you heard from this morning, the first women's health minister in the UK. You have a thriving life sciences cluster. You have the Campbell Report, a blueprint for investment into life sciences and health tech. You have lots of genuine people who want to create a women's healthcare ecosystem, join up the dots between government investing, VCs, and private equity, so that Scotland can become a leading centre of excellence. Women's healthcare and Femtech are somewhat buzzwords right now, but we need people to take the bull by the horns and start making real changes and create ecosystems, and more importantly, invest and create and construct portfolio allocations that are inclusive of women's health. In addition, investing in women's health supports gender lens investing, and that is very good for the economy. In fact, Citibank issued a report for IWD claiming that achieving gender parity in business growth could increase global GDP up to $2.3 trillion and generate up to 433 million jobs globally. For me, living in these crazy and unpredictable times we bear witness to right now, investing in women's health seems like one of the most sane, necessary things we can do. And changing the lexicon around women's health and creating investment opportunities is frankly a no-brainer for me. To that end, we very much hope that you will enjoy this afternoon's session. I want to say a very big thank you to everyone who's made today possible, from Poonam Malik at the University of Strathclyde, to Steve Harrison at Scottish Enterprise, to Aya, who's GGV's head of operations, for pulling this together, and her patience, to Catherine, who's headed up our comms strategy, to Alex for her boundless enthusiasm, to our sponsors, Adelshaw Goddard, NCM Fund Services, and Alvarez and Marshall. the Ecosystem Fund, and all our community partners, the University of Strathclyde, WellTech World Summit, Femtech Insider, Cambridge Femtech Society, Female Founder Squad, Adam Smith, Panmure House, and Codebase. And most importantly, thank you to all of you for attending today, and also all the people watching on live stream this afternoon. We really appreciate your support.